Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Juggernaut, and this is WH40K Space Marine 2, the reveal trailer. I'm watching this on the PS5 YouTube channel. Full disclosure, I did already see the trailer on the Xbox channel. Why are you saying that? Because I can't find the bloody Xbox channel now. It's the same trailer, but it's just kind of funny that I looked it up and I can't bloody find it. Either way, for those of you that don't know, Space Marine 1 was a phenomenal 40k game. For the longest time, probably the only good 40k game. Dawn of War 1 and 2 were pretty good. We have Gladius now, which obviously came after, which is also pretty darn neat. There's a couple of others here and there that are acceptable, but in terms of the story, in terms of the lore, in terms of everything, Space Marine was phenomenal. The gameplay was also, for the time, really, really good. Especially the lore accuracy I really appreciated. There were a few inconsistencies here and there, like one of the weapons that was effectively a shotgun wasn't supposed to work like that, or rather it doesn't work like that in the lore. I remember a few other things, but yeah, you know, for the most part, it's stuck true to what old 40k lore was like. When I say old, I don't mean Rogue Trader, I mean the sort of golden age of 40k. The more modern stuff, is not a huge fan of it. Either way, let's take a look at the trailer. I won't delay much longer. And, yeah, that was violent and sudden. Okay. Okay, so we have some guardsmen, that's a radio, and they are in retreat, obviously. I like the lasguns. They're, I have to pause it for a couple of reasons. One, copyright. Two, it's kind of the point of the video. If you want to watch the entire trailer without me, you know, interrupting it, you can go over to, you can just Google it and watch the entire thing, basically, without my annoying interruptions. So, point being, the lasguns are often portrayed as, well, a consistent beam of light. They're portrayed more like beam weapons rather than being slightly more akin to something like the Star Wars blasters, right? This is a little... sorry. This is a little bit more accurate. You don't hold down the trigger and a consistent beam comes out. It is like... It is more like that. I mean, you can see there is a consistent beam, but it's not one that you hold for like 3 minutes on target. It's not a glorified flashlight. It kind of is, but not in the sense of a consistent beam, right? That is how it looks, but it's in bursts, right? Bing, bing, bing.
Dude, we've lost the square. We can't hold it.
So they've lost basically the entire platoon here. And, because I've seen the trailer already, let me draw your attention to something. This is only visible in 4K in the trailer itself. There is a hue of purple in the guardsman's eyes. That is a beautiful, beautiful little detail, because these men are Cadians, and all Cadians have purple eyes because it's a very minuscule minor mutation that is a result of living so close to the Eye of Terror.
Hold it.
Now, cavalry arrives. Okay, here's what I'm going to pause it. I'm going to go on a rant for about 3 or 4 minutes, so just be warned. Recently, I've read Eisenhorn Xenos, and I've read Eisenhorn Malice. Haven't read the Hereticus, the 3rd book, and I think there's a 4th book as well. I haven't read that one either. Well, full disclosure, actually, I haven't finished Malice technically yet, but either way, besides the point, this is probably the best way to do representation of Space Marines and their combat capabilities. The reason I mention Eisenhorn is because it's done the same way in the book. You are introduced to Mandragore, I think his name was, the one of the children of the Emperor, a heretic, or traitor marine, whatever you want to call it. And he is basically introduced via contrast to regular naval security and guards. And it's the same here. So the beginning of the trailer is going to go probably unnoticed by a lot of people, as they're going to, oh, look at the Ultra Smurfs, they're cool and whatever. Yes, but the beginning sort of establishes the importance and the impact of the Space Marines. Specifically the Ultramarines chapter here, which, by the way, I'm not a huge fan of. They're a bit bland, a bit boring. I would have preferred something like, I don't know, the Salamanders. I think they fit very well with the lore here. Blood Ravens, they exist. They're popular. We don't exactly see eye to eye on many things, but they're an option. The Death Watch, that would have been the Imperial Fists, maybe. I don't know. Any other legion, I think would have been a slightly more interesting choice. But from a business perspective, I get the idea. When people think Ultramarines, most people think. When people think Space Marines and 40k, most people have this image in their head. So, from a business perspective, it makes sense, because a lot of people aren't really, up to their neck in 40k lore and don't really know what's going on. But this they know, this they're familiar with, so they can identify with the characters. Either way, let's keep going. I haven't even mentioned, we have Tyranids, yes. I completely forgot to mention this. We have Tyranids instead of the Orcs, which was in Space Marine 1. Good choice, honestly. Tyranids are often, I don't want to say often underlooked, but they are sometimes overlooked. There is a lot of variety to them, in terms of the enemies, in terms of what they can do, in terms of their tactics. People think that they're just a hive mind and they're just a biological mass that swallows everything and moves on, and they're kind of boring that way. And to be fair, that is what they do most of the time. Yes, they eat up whole planets and then move along, but there is a lot of variety here. So, for example, these guys, I'm not sure what their actual classification and name is, I've forgotten, but they're like the slaves, and the guy in the back of this should be a warrior. Now, I don't know if it's technically actually called a warrior. I've played a bunch of games with Tyranids in them. I think this is a warrior. If it's something else, I'm sorry. I don't know off the top of my head. I could look it up, but either way, this is probably the most harmless unit in the Tyranid roster, and I expect that the Space Marines will not even break stride to deal with no matter how many of these there are. So yeah, there we go. Look at that. Again, it's all about the contrast. That's kind of how the human brain works. But I don't want to interrupt the action sequence. Actually, let's do it justice. Let's watch the whole thing all over again. Mind the speed, and I think that's my favorite scene right there. I'm going to replay it again. They don't even stop moving. That's what I'm saying. And the guardsman is obviously. His mind is thoroughly and utterly blown at the sheer awesomeness of what's happening. Yeah, and look at that. The speed of a Space Marine. That's something that also often gets misrepresented. You see a huge, twin-hearted, quote-unquote man, superhuman, really. And I love how they scurry off. Superhuman at like 3 meters or more, 3.5, 4 meters tall. And you assume that, it's a very slow tank of a person. No, they are lightning quick. Again, if I can take Eisenhower's Xenos as an example. You also have this in the first Horus Heresy book. What was it called? Let me get it off the shelf. I don't know. I don't remember. It was Horus Rising. Yes, there we go. It was Horus Rising. So, either way, you also get a sense of that sort of speed there as well. They're very agile, very quick. Dan Abnett does I think actually both books are, well, Eisenhorn and Horus Rising are both by Dan Abnett. Yeah, he does them justice, right? He does justice in representing just how horrifyingly powerful Space Marines are. Either way, let's continue. I mean, that is, and the guardsman kneeling is, look at that. Hey, that look right there, that is 40k in a nutshell. Look at that. And you can notice the eyes a lot more in this shot than the previous one. And they won't even look at them. Like they're here to do a job. They have hundreds of thousands of those things to kill. They're busy, and then the big reveal. Oh yeah, that face should be familiar to you. I love the scars. He looks a lot older. Notice the marks of rank, I suppose you would call them. That's how the Space Marines distinguish between rank. That's the thing on the forehead. Love the scars. Love the little sort of grey in the hair. Definitely older, more experienced. His ears look as they should. Yeah, just a terrifying face. Portrays a lot of depth too. If I can, maybe this is me just bullshitting a little bit, but there is a few lines in Eisenhorn Xenos where Eisenhorn looks at a veteran of the Death Watch and he says, he notices the grey hair and the beard and everything, and he says, how many victories, how many battles has that face seen? And yet, how many defeats? So yeah, like, it doesn't tell you anything about the character, anything about his past, but the very notion, the very idea of the sort of... It's past like a few minutes in the video, right? Yeah, it's 11, I can swear. The amount of shit this this superhuman has seen, in terms of aliens, Xenos, suffering, war, that leaves a mark on the face, and you can definitely see it here. This is after the first game, right? Look at this. I mean, that is... yeah. But that is not the end of the trailer, mind you. There is more. Oh yeah. We got gameplay. A few seconds of gameplay, but it looks very, very similar to Space Marine 1. Now, obviously, I expect more to be released later down the line, but we have the jetpack like we did in the first game. I also see a optic sight on the bolter. I'm hoping maybe some sort of weapon customization system. Maybe this zooms in more and, I don't know, gives you... lets you zoom in more with the camera, gives you more accuracy, more damage. That wouldn't make sense for it to give you more damage. Maybe higher critical hit chance or something. Then if you take that off and put something else on, maybe higher ammo or something. Some kind of weapon customization system, I think, would be good. Space Marines do customize their weapons, especially librarians of the chapters. There is... I think I'm going to go back to Eisenhorn like 50 times, because that's the trilogy I've read most recently, or... haven't read the entire thing, but you get the point. At one point, a librarian gives Eisenhorn a needle gun, I think. Could have been a bolter pistol of some description. I don't exactly remember what the weapon was, but it was custom made by the librarian, almost from scratch. Not quite, but almost from scratch. Heavily modified. So yeah, they do that. And gotta commend them on the bolter firing. I'm gonna shut up and let you listen to it. Yeah, that feels heavy. That feels good. Like, first of all, look at the casings falling off the bloody thing. Gorgeous little detail. Graphically, the game looks pretty darn impressive too. But the casings falling off and the recoil and the sort of thumping noise, that is what a bolter should sound like. This is not a machine gun, this is not a pistol, this is not a submachine gun, this is not an assault rifle, no. This is closer to a bloody bazooka, right? It fires mini rocket-propelled slugs that punch through virtually everything they hit. So yeah, they would squish this poor little thing into nothingness. And they do. Though we can't really see it right there. And obviously there is gameplay balance, but even then, like, there is... You see where it's hitting? There is just mist of blood appearing when it's hitting the, I guess, lower level guys here with less armor and stuff. Yeah, like, look at that. That is definitely how a bolter should work. Props on that. probably my... I mean, this is obviously a gorgeous scene. Scripted, so, you know, we're looking at gameplay for now. This I also love. Wait, where is it? Okay, let's play it from the top again. And so we have that, and yeah, this. You can see the armored transport up there, along with the field gun. There is an element of verticality here as well, which I really like. Obviously with the jetpack and then this, but here as well you have stuff going over and then you're going under this sort of improvised bridge, I suppose. Great, really great. If there is stuff like this in the actual game, you know, not just for one or two sequences, but in the actual game, you have all these elements. That'd be great. So far, this looks wonderful. This is how you do a trailer, right? It's very respectful to the lore, in the details, in the representation of the Space Marines, in everything. You really get a sense, because of the guardsmen, you know, who are there and terrified and running away and, you know, losing a fight to a bunch of really weak Tyranid units. You get a sense of just how just absolutely terrifying these bloody guys are. Matter of fact, 3 of them for a situation like this is complete overkill. So I didn't realize that. 3 of them is complete overkill. Yeah, 1 would be more than enough to deal with all of this. But it also kind of showcases the strength of the Guard in some instances, because I think one of the most famous sayings that the Guard has is, if I fall, 100 will rise to take my place, and 1,000 for each and every one of them, or something along those lines. Yeah, numbers. The Guard has numbers. You may have 100, or maybe a couple of hundred Ultramarines or Space Marines on a planet. You have millions upon millions of Guardsmen to deploy when it comes to the defending or when it comes to an invasion of a planet. So yeah, those numbers are definitely not to be underestimated, but there is a difference in power that is rather obvious as well. Yeah, it's great. It's very respectful to the lore. I love it. Honestly, I really, really do. Graphically, the game looks it looks really neat. I like obviously the design of the buildings and everything. Very gothic, very 40k. Like it. It's also not very bleak and grey and whatever, which I think really works. You think of a setting like 40k, and people often just put a grey filter over everything and call it depressing and ship the game off like that. No, 40k can be very vibrant. There's plenty of books that describe incredibly vibrant worlds and mysterious worlds and all sorts of things. And yes, sometimes it's just smoke and fire and dust and mud and whatever, and fair enough. But you do have scenes like this as well, like a clear blue sky with burning wreckage all over the place, of course. But yeah, I like the lack of filter, the lack of just one color filter over the entire thing. That we do see, a clear blue color there, a clear red from the blood, and in this sort of well, I can't really call it nature. It's all man-made, but in the sort of environment, Yeah, either way, I'll be definitely keeping an eye on this one. This looks like a terrific game so far. We have to see gameplay, we have to see, obviously we have to play it for ourselves, see how it goes and all of that, but as far as trailers go, this is awesome, and it's one of those very, very, very rare moments where we get a 40k game that appears to be doing the genre, or the universe justice. So, yeah. Definitely keep an eye on this one, folks. I know I will be, and yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video, and we'll stay tuned with the rest of the content that I produce on the channel. Until next time, have fun, take care, and bye-bye.